Silent. If it does, come on in, Kamal. If you do hear it, you're going to want to take the call. Don't right now. Just turn it off. Take lots of notes. You should. We sent you out over the last couple of weeks a whole packet of information and the whole business plan layout. If you don't have one,
I just posted it in the chat box.
all right. And he just posted it. And I think everyone here in Covina, did you guys get copies? Yeah. Okay, good. Did you get a copy? Perfect. Excellent. Thank you. Good job. All right. I want you to think outside the box for this conversation for the next hour and a half. And when I say think outside the box, I want you guys to turn off the I can't do that knob. Okay? I'm going to give you an idea. You may believe you can't do it, or worse, you tried it before, it didn't work for you, so you don't want to try it again. So I want you to turn off those knobs. There isn't anything we're going to talk about today that can't be done by every single one of you. The only reason it's not being done is because you choose not to do it. I want to talk about mindset, where your mindset is in our start here. Think about this. Your present circumstances don't determine where you can go. They only determine where you start. Your present circumstances only determine where you start, okay? So you could be rich, have a lot of cash, and lose it, and be broke. It goes the other way too. Or you could start with nothing, come from nothing, and we know success story after success story after success story where that works, okay? So we're all starting from zero. I like to do this meeting the first few days of the new year. It probably, another company would set this meeting up next week. But now you're at the 7th or the 8th or the 9th or the 10th. Today we're at the 4th. The 4th, we're going to have a meeting today for a couple hours, and we'll have a meeting tomorrow for a couple hours. We're all starting at zero. Karen Bernardi starting at zero. Neil Weichel starting at zero. Melinda Elmer starting at zero. Meg Middleman starting at zero. The Scalio team starting at zero. Linda Holmes, I talked with her this morning. Her team is starting at zero. Tess Marquez is starting at zero. We're all starting at zero. We all are starting at the same spot. You guys get that? That's really kind of cool when you think about it. We're all starting from zero. So we've been running through the finish line. We started about October 1st. It's been great. A lot of you have taken listings and made sales and are closing escrows where you wouldn't necessarily be doing that. I wrote down here, we're all start at different places in life, and we're all given different generic gifts. Some can read faster. Some are boys, some are girls. Some are born in a society where, you know, boys and girls are treated differently. You know, we're in a wonderful, phenomenal place in America where we have all the opportunity in the world, and we have all, look, we have issues. We all have issues. But the truth is, there's no better country, no better place than to be able to work in this society and go forward, okay? I came from nothing. I came with no education. I had loving parents. They got divorced. They also didn't put seatbelts on me when I was a little kid. Okay, they didn't, you know, can you imagine? You know, my grandchildren are in double high chairs, you know, with a bubble around them, God forbid. And you know what? I don't know if you know this or not, but if the car is in an accident and there's a car seat that the children weren't even in, you have to replace the car seat. Did you guys know that? Either did I until I had to replace the car seats. We have 4 car seats in the car. By the way, car seats are not $59 anymore.
Yeah.
So it's, it's a crazy world that we're living in. I wrote down here, we're all given different generic gifts. However, these have little to do with where we end up in our life. I talk about this because it's not just writing down, I want to make 500,000 a year. It's not just writing down, I want to do 50 transactions. It's not writing down, I want to make $100,000. Because what I found in life, it's not the number that motivates you. It's what you're going to do with the number. Do you guys get that? What are you going to do with the money is the motivating factor, not the money. It is common for people who didn't start with the same opportunities or generic gifts as others to surpass those who had an advantage to begin with. It's amazing. We look around at all these people as why? They're no different than I am. What's going on here? So, and I'd written down here, I'm a perfect example. I was born and raised in Pico Rivera. I have no college education. My family wasn't rich, and yet I've carved out a fantastic life for myself and my family by really focusing on what Zig Ziglar would say all the time, which is what I've adopted. If you help enough people get what they want, you will have what you want. And I've spent my whole life, 50 years, helping people get what they want, whether it was listing and selling houses, whether it was being a manager of a real estate office, whether it was being an owner of a real estate company, whether it was coaching, for the Mike Ferry organization, helping people. And that desire to help people paid off magnificently. So I want you to write down 5 ideas to focus on to have a great 2023 and to ensure a fabulous first quarter. And I mean this, I wrote this down, this word, serious. Write down the word serious. We need to get serious about our health, our finances, our business, and our family. Once and for all. I've been saying this for 50 plus years. We've got to get serious in those areas. We can no longer let things just happen. We need to go out and make things happen in those categories. We need to get smart. Don't be casual in learning. Don't be casual in learning. Well, I'll read a book when I read a book. Neil suggested this book, or he has a reading list. I have a reading list, guys and gals, and we keep adding to that reading list. Okay, I read everything on that list. I was referred to most of the things on that list by Mike Ferry or by some of my mentors. When I look back today, my mentors have passed away. I mean, it's Zig Ziglar, not around anymore. Jim Rohn, not around anymore. Mike Ferry's losing his voice. It's just stuff that happens. It's a reality. I saw Jim Rohn. I was just sharing this with somebody today. I saw Jim Rohn live as a very young salesperson in Anaheim, California, actually a block away from where we were at the event the other day. I think it's called the Sheridan. It's an old looking hotel. Think about it. I was there 45 years ago. Yeah. And it's still there renting rooms. Wow. Anyway, I was there. Jim Rohn was speaking, and a ticket salesman, meaning a person who used to sell the tickets. His name was Anthony Robbins. And he worked for Jim Rohn as a ticket salesman. Interesting, huh? Interesting. All those people have taught us so many great things. So don't get casual about learning the scripts. I wrote that down. Don't get casual about learning the scripts. Don't get casual about learning dialogues. Don't be casual about previewing property every day. Always be asking yourself this question: how can I improve? How can I improve? So I made a note here. It's so much about deliberate practice. And there's a book by Angela Duckworth. Right? Write that down. This is a good book. Okay. Test question. This is a good book. Angela Duckworth. And the book's called Grit, G-R-I-T. G-R-I-T. Great book. Excellent book. How can I improve? Through deliberate practice. It's not enough just to role play and practice. You've got to memorize it. You've got to, why do you have to memorize it? Why do I say today you have to memorize your scripts? And before I used to say you would have to internalize them. Anybody? Confidence is one. Go ahead. What else? So the answer, sorry?
Reflex memory.
Reflex memory. Close. Here's the situation. What's the definition of internalize? What's the definition of internalize? And we'll all have a few definitions of the word internalize. What does that mean?
Memorize.
No, internalize doesn't mean to memorize. Here's the answer. But we all know what memorize means. We all get what memorize means. We don't all get what internalize means. So I shifted gears with that and I said, okay, just memorize the damn thing. Then how do I test the memory? Tell me what you know. Give me the script. Give me the script. Give me the script. Give me the script. You can give me the script without reading the script. You've memorized it. Yes or no? There's the definition. Can't do that with internalize. You guys get that?
Means make
Okay,
it your
and once
own,
you
right?
have it memorized, then you can do something with it. I wrote down here, number 3, get going. You need to take massive action. Massive action. No matter how you start, you have to take massive action. Start small. Every new discipline gets new disciplines, and great things happen. Things build on things, okay? Scripts build on scripts. My earliest example of that is the expired script. And in the expired script, there's a line, I forget the number. It's, are you familiar with the techniques I use to get home sold? Everybody got it?
Yes.
Okay, that bothered me to no end in my career, probably for the first 8 or 10 years, because it felt so egotistical. Are you familiar with the techniques I use? You know, it's like crazy, right? It's ego. Until one day, I was closing and closing and closing and closing and closing. I couldn't come up with any more closes, and that one popped into my head. So, Mr. Jones, are you guys familiar with the techniques I use to get home sold? He said, I don't even know you. I just met you. That's exactly why we need to meet. Let's meet at 3 o'clock today so I can show you what I do to get home sold. It's the greatest closing piece on the planet. When everything else is gone, use that. That's what I call dancing with the scripts. It wasn't intentional, but it turned out to be one of the great closes that I've been able to use. I wrote down here, get better. Personal development and personal growth. Read more and hang out with richer people. Now, definition of rich. I don't know. I guess it depends on where you are in life, okay? If you're a person that has $1 million in the bank, you need to hang out with people that are richer than that. If you've got 25,000 in the bank and all the people that you hang out with have 23,000, you're at the top end. You've got to watch what's going on. That makes sense? I wrote this down. we'll post it in the chat box. Maybe Jesse might be able to do this. It's page 7 at the very top of the scripts. You are the same today as you'll be in 5 years. You are the same today as you'll be in 5 years, except for 2 things. One of them is the books you read, and the other is the people you hang out with. You'll be exactly where you are today 5 years from now. Jesse, can you toss me a water? Oh, never mind. So the 5th point is get stronger. Build muscle. My suggestion is I'm dedicated to building the I'm getting the job done muscle. I'm getting the job done muscle. A lot of times agents will make 10 expired calls or 10 expired visits. They'll get a good amount of rejection, and I'm not putting up with this anymore. Okay. And yet, if you go through 15, 20, 30, 50 of these, you won't care anymore. That's actually the difference between the agents that work expireds and get the business versus agents that work around expireds, try to build up their courage. But if they would go out and see 25, 30, 50 expireds over the next month or 2 or 3, it becomes a no-brainer. I'm getting the job done muscle. The expired job, the for sale by owner job, the previewing job. I wrote down here, I'm dedicated to building the I will keep going even if I don't want to muscle. We all have that. I don't want to continue. I don't want to do it. I don't want to finish this. All right. And then the 3rd one I wrote down here, I'm dedicated to building the do what I say I'm going to do muscle. And stop promising to yourself and promise to accountability partners. Because we lie to ourselves all the time. We let ourselves off all the time. You will not do that if you get an accountability partner that you respect and don't want to look bad in front of. You guys remember Tim Wood? Mm-hmm. All right, for those of you that don't, Tim Wood, who's passed on, was in my first mastermind group. And he scared me to death. He was so intense. He was a wild man. He was doing 100 transactions a year before 100 transactions was even thought of in Big Bear, California. Small market. He was a mountain man. He was absolutely a mountain man. But I was in this mastermind group and I really sought him out. And he scared the heck out of me as being an accountability partner, because there was no way on this planet I was going to let him down. If I said I was going to do something and I was going to do 10 of them, by the time I said I was going to do 10 of them, I had done 10 of them because I thought he would throw me off the cliff. That was crazy. It helped a lot. I didn't have an option. Who's my next accountability partner? Mike Ferry. I tell Mike Ferry what I'm going to do. I've been coached by Mike for, 15, 20 years. Every week. Tell Mike, this is what I'm going to do. Guess what he asks me next week? He doesn't care about anything else. Hey, you said you were going to do X. Did you do it? Now, how many times can you tell Mike Ferry no? Right? It's not. Find a great accountability partner. Find somebody that frightens you. All right. Okay, so let's get into the meat of this business plan. Draw a line in the paper. Let's get started. I wrote down here the elements of a great business plan. Turn to page 4. Turn to page 4. Jesse, put page 4 or page 4 up there. Thanks, buddy. These are the elements, and some of you just write into this page, and that's perfectly fine. By the way, just an FYI, if you download this page, correct me if I'm wrong, if you download this page,
Disculpe
into your
con su hijo.
computer,
En Be Nice.
then you can
¿No ves que le
write
puedes sacar un
into
ojo?
paragraphs.
No quieres. Ey,
You get it? Okay, so all you have to do is download it and then bring it back up, and then you can write into these boxes. Kind of cool. Only took me 3 years to figure that one out. Okay, so first you need to know what you did last year, the 22 recap. If you are new in the business, then this is going to be a little bit more difficult. But a lot of you are not new in the business and you have some background. So what did you do? Whatever you did, put it down. I don't care if you're not proud of it. Okay, I don't know if you're super proud of it, but just write it down. What was the recap? How many properties did you preview? How many for sale by owners did you go to? I guess they didn't do a lot in behind me previewing. Okay, but the group over here, a lot of previewing. I can see smiles. Absolutely. Good job. Somebody asked me today if they were a brand new agent. And I'm totally digressing for just a second. If they're a brand new agent, what would I tell a brand new agent to do? And it was just basically the same thing I would tell an agent moving markets or somebody trying to jumpstart their business. It's really, 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 really simple. And most people don't do it. But if you do this, you will be wildly successful. Okay. You probably never heard me say this before, but I'm going to say it one more time. Preview 5 houses a day, 5 days a week, and do that for a year. You will have seen about 1,000 pieces of property. Most agents, except for the very best, never see 1,000 pieces of property in their career. You do, and you do it in less than a year, you're already a jump ahead anyone else. Number one. Number two, role play. Practice, drill, and rehearse. Memorize all the scripts. Memorize the listing presentation. Get better than anyone else. Put time into it. You do those two things, and you do them with focus, consistency, and commitment. You're going to outpace the pack really fast. So you notice it's not 1,000 things. It's not 500 things. It's not 2,000 things. It's 2 things. 2 things for a year. For 1 year, you will be the best in the real estate business in your marketplace. I don't have to worry about it because I've told that to people, I don't know, thousands over the years, and most people never do it. They've always got a different thing to do. Okay, recap your business. Number 2, dreams and desires. I started this talk by saying, it's not the amount of money that's going to motivate you. It's what you're going to do with the money. Now, that could be for your family, vacations, and investment property, and a bigger house, and a bigger car, et cetera, et cetera. That's fine. Okay, what are you going to do with the money? And that's the burning desire. It could be altruistic. You want to do something for your church or a community service or something like that. And early in my coaching career, one of the gals there was a clock in her city in Midwest, in the Midwest of America, Kansas or something like that. The clock in that town, the town hall, and it hadn't worked for years. And she was probably late 30s, early 40s, and she was making really good money. But she wanted to make another $150,000 a year, and things didn't cost a lot of money where she lived, and she was making like $300,000 a year, et cetera, et cetera. And she wanted to do more. So I kept asking her, well, what would you like to do? What would you like to do? What would you like to do? And we came up with, she wanted to fix the clock. That would make her, because as a little girl, this clock never worked, and she'd like to be known in the town as the lady who fixed the clock. And she thought it would be a pretty good thing for real estate if she was also known as the lady from real estate that fixed the clock. So that was another thing. So we sent her out, find out how much it cost to fix the clock. We had no idea. So she went and found somebody to fix the clock, and it was going to cost her like $40,000, like a crazy number. This is 25, 30 years ago. So in Midwest Kansas, someplace. So she did. And she raised the money. Now, to raise the $40,000 to pay for it herself, she actually earned $125,000 that year. She took 40 of that, did that, and then the following year did a couple $100,000 because of publicity that she got from fixing the clock. Whatever floats your boat, okay? But it wasn't the money. She couldn't figure out how to do more business if 40,000 was her goal. 40,000 wasn't her goal. Fixing the clock was her goal. It just cost 40,000. You guys get what I'm saying? You've got to figure that out. So I wrote down here, dreams and desires, and we're going to have a segment on that one. 2023 personal business goals. So what's going to be important about the goals? The action steps. First, we build the plan. First, we have a goal. Then we build the plan, the action steps for achieving it, the schedule to support your plan, and then we need to get started and take action. Okay, so Robert, if you would go to page 5 and talk about where business came from, and then kind of go forward from that, and then I'll cut back in just a minute or two. Robert,
Sounds good. Yep. All right. So we're talking about, good job, Neil. Love it. All right. So where did business come from? We're on page.
1 second, Robert. We can't hear you.
But I was already going.
We can hear him.
I heard him.
We're going to have to rewind.
Lost your momentum.
I lost my momentum. It's over. Can I talk now? I'm expressive. This is killing me.
We can hear you, Robert.
You can't,
No, Robert, we
you
can hear
can't
you.
talk until Jesse comes back over here.
We hear you fine. I hear you fine. I don't know the rest.
No, they can't. The problem is that the people that are in the office can't hear me. So when-
Okay,
There we go. All right. So we're on page 5 of this business plan. Great job, Neil. Love it. Where did your business come from? So one of the most important things you can do is track your numbers. Okay, track your numbers. And part of tracking your numbers is tracking your sources. And so you have to ask yourself, where did your business come from? So on this page, we're going to go through on 2022. And for each of these line items, write down how many deals did you close from these sources: past clients, sphere of influence, expired listings, for sale by owner. You can just kind of go on down the list. How many did you close from those sources? And that's the first column in 2022. And then the second column is what's your projected closing from those sources in 2023. Now, here's what's really important as you go through this exercise of where did your business come from in 2022. You're going to notice a couple things. One thing you might notice is that you're not getting enough business from enough sources. So I want you to write this down. Make sure that you have 5 sources of business. Make sure you have 5 sources of business. Most of us have 2, maybe 3, but in 2023, as the number of transactions goes down, you need more sources of business to generate more activity. So look at 5 sources of business. Okay. But one of the other things you're going to notice doing this particular exercise is you might realize that you're spending more time prospecting or lead generating sources that are not generating you business. So this is one of those big aha moments, is when you write this down and you go, wow, I only generated 5 deals from past client centers of influence, but I have 150 people in my database. Well, there's an aha that you might need to get more business from that source. Or, gosh, I'm contacting expireds 2 hours a day, every single day, and I'm on a race to be first. So I'm calling them at 6:30 in the morning because we got to be first, right? And I'm doing it for 2 hours a day, and I didn't close a single expired. So this is going to be one of those aha moments when you go through these particular sources. Now, if we go down, it's in your plan, you need to line out in detail what activities you're going to need to add the number of deals in that category to achieve your goal. So when you go to projected, let's say you want to get more business from your database. Well, what are you going to do differently in 2023 to get more business from your database? If you want to get more business from expireds, because you say, wow, there's more expireds right now, I really want to tackle that. What's the plan of action? And if you need help with that, talk to us. We can certainly go through how to come up with a plan of action for those sources. So what new sources of business? What have you not been doing that you want to add to it? I want to add probates. I want to add expireds. I want to add for sale by owners. And then what do you need to do to learn the skills and activities to accommodate that? You know, probates, for example. Well, I want to do more probate deals. Well, that just doesn't happen. You got to learn how to do probate deals. You got to learn the process. Where do you find those deals? So identify the new sources of business you want to go after, and then what specific skills and activities do you need to work on to hit those goals? And again, if you need help with that, we could certainly do that. All right, so Jesse, move down to the next page, page 6. Now, this is your business plan recap for 2022. Okay. Business plan recap 2022. So on this sheet, you're simply going to fill out what did you accomplish in 2022? How many days did you work? How many hours did you prospect, contact, so on and so forth? Okay. This is just simply to remind yourself what you accomplished last year. Some of you, the numbers are going to be very impressive. Some of you, maybe not as impressive. The only thing I can tell you about your business plan recap is if you lie, it doesn't change what happened. Just so you're aware. Okay. So as you're going through your business plan recap, be honest of what you did because it's already finished. So you can't change anything now. So, you know, how many hours spent meeting people, listings were taken, buyer sales, all that stuff. Okay. Now, for those of you that were in business last year and you don't know these numbers, it's very common. That makes you an average real estate agent. But let me ask you, does anyone here, are you okay just being an average real estate agent? You okay with that? No, no one wants to be an average real estate agent. Okay. The average real estate agent doesn't track their numbers. If you want to be an above average real estate agent, you need to track your numbers. And this is where this sheet comes in. Okay. Write this down. No numbers, no plan. No numbers, no plan. If you're not tracking your numbers, you're not maximizing your business plan. Now, what's the number one reason we don't track our numbers? What do you think it is? What do you think's the number one reason most agents don't track their numbers?
Well, they're not very good.
Scared. They're not doing what they're supposed to.
Yeah. And what do we call that in a 3-letter word? What do we call that in a 3-letter word?
Ego.
Ego. Ego. Crystal was right. Rochelle was sitting next to me. She hit it as well. Your ego is keeping you from tracking your numbers because your ego doesn't like to see the truth. Seeing the truth might make you look bad, might make you feel bad because you're not doing what it is that you said you were supposed to do on the business plan. Well, I want you, for those of you that have been around a long time, we stole this quote fair and square from Gayle Weinberg. Your ego is not your amigo. So track your numbers. This is how we get better. Okay, this is how we help. So if you were to call me, if you were to call Neil or Patty or, you know, any of the coaches and trainers we have for the company, you call me next week, you call me in March and you say, gosh, Robert, you know, I feel like I'm doing the work, but I'm not getting the transactions. One of the first things I'm going to say, or Neil or Patty or anyone else is going to say, great, let's look at your numbers analyzer. And then if you say, well, I'm not tracking my numbers, well, then how can I help? All I'm doing really is guessing. Well, you tell me you're doing this, then you should be getting this. So track your numbers, but be honest with yourself about it. That's how we get better. Okay. All right. And then we go down to the next page, page 7. Where are you today? Where are you today? This is just an overview of where you're at today. in terms of your finances, your family situation, your income, your wealth, where you live, okay, your spirituality, your mindset. This is just where you're at today. Because sometimes we need to write down where we're at. And here's the thing. Some of you are going to do this exercise and you're going to go, this is going pretty good. Like, Robert, as I'm writing this down, this is going pretty good. Anyone here ever have days where you feel like you're just no good at your job and you're just failing at a really high level? Anyone ever have those days?
Yes.
Yeah. Myself, I see 10 or 15 people and then 60 liars. Good. All right. So sometimes we feel like, God, I'm not doing anything. I'm failing. I'm not doing anything right. And then we write this stuff down and you go, man, you know what? I describe where you live. I like where I live. Relationships. Well, you know what? I'm good here. I'm good here. Money in the bank. Wow. You know what? It's actually nice that we have that kind of money in the bank. Debt. Wow. There's not much debt. You start actually writing this out and all of a sudden you're going, I'm doing something right here. Because if you don't have the right mindset, if you don't have a positive feeling about yourself, then that negativity is going to spill over to your prospecting, which is going to spill over to your appointments, and that's not going to help you generate any business. So sometimes this page can be an eye-opening response in both ways. It can be like, wow, I really need to get some money in the bank. I really need to look at my investments. Or some of you, it's going to go, wow, you know what? I didn't realize that I'm doing okay. But sometimes we need to identify where we're at. All right. And then we're going to go down to page 8, and then I'm going to let Neil take it on page 9. But page 8, we must get clarity of where you're at in the following areas of your life. Okay. We must get clarity of where you're at in the following areas of your life. So you're looking at this. What are the top 5 things you learned in 2022? What are the top 5 things you learned in 2022? Now, it could be family, could be spiritual, could be business, could be financial, could be health, as it shows on that page. Let me ask you this. Do your business goals, does your business life and your personal life intersect with one another? Yes or no? Hello?
Yes.
Did I freeze?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, they do.
Yes.
Yes, they do. So when we're going through top 5 things you learned, include business, include family, spiritual. You have to intersect some of this stuff on the business plan. I'll never forget this. I was 20 years old, right? My first real sales job. And I go into the office and my boss says, Robert, what happens in here stays in here. Okay. You don't take it out there. And what happens out there doesn't come in here. And I said, wow, this is great. So if I don't make any money in here, my wife can't get mad at me out there. This is wonderful. Honey, I know we don't have any money, but that's an in there problem. You think that went over well with my wife? No. Any other questions? Right? So write down here, what are the top 5 things you learned in 2022? I mean, gosh, there was a lot of opportunities to learn stuff. What accomplishment are you most proud of in 2022? Now, this is one of those things where some people need to work on their mindset, because if you get to this part here where it says what accomplishment and you can't think of anything, it's a mindset problem. You accomplish stuff. It may be the littlest thing in the world, but you accomplish something. Okay. What action did you take or fail to take that you're least proud of in 2022? Okay, we all have those. What do you want to duplicate in 2023 that you did in 2022? What worked? What do you want to duplicate? What were your biggest challenges? Okay, what were your biggest challenges in 2022? What do you believe will be your biggest challenges in 2023? And what do you not want to repeat in 2023? On that last portion here, I'll share something. Mike Ferry did this years ago, and I'll never forget this. And I want you to write these 4 questions down. on when it comes down to what not to repeat. Okay. Have any of you had the same challenge or same weakness every year for a decade? Anyone run into that problem? You have the same weakness, same challenge every single year, right? So Mike Ferry ran through these 4 questions with me. I want you to write this down. What is your biggest weakness? First question, what's your biggest weakness? Second question, how long has it been your biggest weakness? Because again, some of you fill out this business plan every year and it says, you know, what do you not want to repeat? And every year it's the same answer for some people. So what's your biggest weakness? How long has it been your biggest weakness? Number 3, why haven't you done anything about it? And number 4, what are you going to do about it this year? So for some of you, when it's what do you not want to repeat in 2023, if it's been the same answer year after year, make 2023 the year that weakness, that flaw, that challenge is not going to be the same one again. I really want to learn this script, then learn it. I really want to be consistent, then be consistent. I really want to follow a schedule, then follow a schedule. And if you need help with any of that, we can do that. So Neil, I'll pass it back to you, going on to page 9 of the business plan.
All right, great job, Robert. Thank you. Excellent work. Excellent work. Are we shifting over? Yeah. We're shifted. Okay, good stuff. All right, let's go to page 9. This is kind of a continuation of we need to find out what we want, why we need to earn the money. So this is just some examples. And so I wrote down here things I'd like to have. Things I would like to have. So anybody want to throw out a thing they'd like to have right now? I just got a new Tesla. We had an old Tesla X because it has 4 car seats. Okay. You can see where, you know, like I need this, like I need a hole in the head. So it has 4 car seats. So we ordered the new one. It came a year and a half late. Okay. A year and a half late. And Debbie went to go pick it up because I was in the middle of something for here. And she comes back and it's got half a steering wheel. Like a jet. True story. Half a steering wheel, right? This thing is there's like a turn, left turn or right turn, left turn, right turn. Every car you've ever seen has a lever, left turn, right turn. Not the Tesla X. It's got a button. Right? How about go? You drive, reverse, the lever, drive, reverse. Okay, that they don't have that either. It's on the computer screen, and you flip it up or you flip it down. The point is that it's so cool that I recommend everybody go drive one. I mean, it's great. See what's going on. And this one has 100 extra miles, so we almost never run out of mileage. But we were cheap on the first one, and we got the smaller battery. Don't do that. Okay, that's not cool. Point is, what would you like it to be? What would you like to be? How about a new Carrera? How about one of those? I walked out of the house today, and where I normally park my car, right next to it was a Bentley. I said, shit, my car grew up, but it's not mine. But what is it? Okay, so things I'd like to have. So take a minute or two and just write down something quick, something, just take action. All right, something that's in your head, take action really, really quick, okay? Okay, fantastic. Now, so we've come up with 4 or 5 things like for that category, and you'll start thinking and brainstorm it with other people. Okay, the second thing I wrote down here is things I'd like to do. Things I would like to do. Things I would like to do. Until I was 45 years old, I never went to New York City. I'd never had the opportunity to go to New York City until I was actually 44 years old. Okay, and Debbie had taken me to New York City, And it's amazing. If you haven't been to New York City, you got to go to New York City. I can give you a whole list of great places to eat, none of them very expensive, all of them fantastic. You know, Pastrami Queen, you go to Russ and Daughters, there's all kinds of great things to eat there. Shows to see, fantastic stuff. Places I'd like to go: New York City, Boston, San Francisco. Great cities. Cities, you know, in Europe. I don't know about going to Europe right now, but okay. Different conversation. Things I'd like to change in my life. Things I would like to change in my life. Get up earlier. Drink less. Drink more. So things I'd like to have, things I'd like to do, places I'd like to go, and things I'd like to change in my life. Cars, watches, whatever it is. Enjoy yourself. Who has an iPhone watch here? 1, 2, 3. Okay. So I have an iPhone watch. I didn't want to have one for a long time because I like these large, clunky things. Okay, a lot. But I was wearing the iPhone watch during the holidays because I didn't want to carry my cell phone. That was kind of a thing I wanted to not have with me. So I had the watch. It's like having a cell phone, just smaller. You can't read it, or at least I couldn't. But I wanted to have one. So, you know, I thought it was cool. And it's actually very cool, very interesting. Now I have a Tesla that has a race. It's not even a race car. It's the steering wheel is more like a jet fighter pilot. It's really cool. Okay. I go drive the damn thing. Just go drive it. It's a great idea. Okay. So then I wrote down here. What I wanted to talk about is I wanted to talk about your why. I wanted to talk about the burning why, and I'm going to kind of focus on this little story I've told, and some of you have heard it before. But the why has to be so clear, so crystal clear. Now, some people getting a Tesla or getting a new couch or taking a trip to New York City could be the biggest why in the world, and it works for you, okay? Getting to live near your grandchildren could be a giant why. But I want to use this story to kind of illustrate the why, okay? So I wrote down here, when you know what you want, the why becomes easier. When you know what you want, the why becomes easier. I want $1 million a year. Okay, that's a nice goal. I want to pay my bills, buy a car, buy a house, pay for the kids' school and education, pay back taxes, investment properties, take a trip. So here's the problem with the number. $1 million would be great, be terrific. But could you do all of that on 875,000? Hello? Couldn't you? Of course you could. All right. And then I asked the question, I've actually done this to a couple of you. Okay, well, let's say you can't make $875,000, but you could make $835,000. Would that be okay with you? Yeah. Hello?
Yes.
Yeah. In most cases, that'd
Yes.
still be, you wanted $1 million, but you dropped it to 875. Now you're at 835, and that would work out pretty good. Okay. What about 748? 835 wasn't working, but how about 748? Would 748 kind of solve the problem? Sure it would. It's not the money. It's not the money. 500,000 would be okay. In some cases, 250,000 would be okay. But you have to find the thing that motivates you, that drives you, that pushes you beyond any expectation. So I want you to think about this. Get in your mind's eye. You have a 50-foot steel beam. It's got wood inlaid in it. It's 50 feet, it's very sturdy. And it's about 5 feet off the ground. And it's got these 2 feet, 2.5 feet rails on it. So if I asked you, who here would walk on that 50 foot beam, sturdy, 5 feet off the ground? Is there anybody here that would not like doing that? You say, Neil, there's no way I can't do that. Okay, but all of you would probably say, sure. All right. So what if I took the 50-foot beam and I raised it from 5 feet to 20 feet? Okay. Now, am I going to lose some people on that? I'm going to lose a few people on that. Okay. Remember, it has rails. But it still would bother you a little bit. So let's change it and let's give you 20 feet off the ground. Let's give you $100. Would you do it now? Just curious. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think most people would do that. There might be a few that just can't do that. So now I'm going to take it to 50 feet off the ground. And at 50 feet off the ground, kind of the same question is, for no money, would anybody do 50 feet off the ground? That's starting to get scary, right? This building is approximately 20 feet. Okay. So 50 feet is like 3 times this building. Okay. Yes, it has rails, but I'm a little bit afraid. Okay. But for $5,000, that would change the scene a little bit, wouldn't it? You get it? Okay. Switch gears. In Century City, on Avenue of the Stars, there's 2 buildings, 2 office buildings that are identical. They're 535 feet tall. They're at the closest spot about 45 feet apart. Okay? They're very close. And they're 535 feet tall. Now, we're going to set that 50-foot steel beam, steel girder, steel path, and we're going to set it in place and we're going to lock it in. It is not going to fall. Okay? Got full guarantee. It's not going to fall. So I'm going to ask each of you, though, to walk across that beam. Is there an amount of money, 535 feet in the air? Is there an amount of money that would encourage you to go across that beam at 50 feet? I wouldn't do it for any amount of money. Anybody? Maybe? Okay, well, you're young. Dad wouldn't do this. Okay. I'm going to change the scenario. You're up there, you're looking across, and I use the scenario and I suggest to you, okay, go across. And you say to me, you're nuts, Neil, forget it. But now I change the scenario. On the other side is a terrorist, all dressed in black with a hoodie on, okay? And he's holding one of your loved ones, a child, a niece, a nephew, a loved one, over the side. And he says, if you don't come over here, I'm dropping the kid. What do?
You run across.
Run.
That's the why. Nothing gets in your way. That's where you have to go.
Yes.
You guys get what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Okay. That's where we have to be to do this. Burn the bridges, go forward, damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead. Okay. That's out of World War II, in case anybody, World War II was a war a long time ago. Okay. That's how emotionally attached your why has to be to achieve your goals in 2023 and find the why. Right? Business is going to be a little different next year. This year, I guess. It's going to be different. Most of you have never experienced the markets where we haven't had multiple offers and low interest rates and It's just been rocking and rolling. It's been really rocking and rolling since 2012, 2013. It was super crazy, supercharged, if you will, for the last 3 years. And then all of a sudden, it's like, do you guys ever play musical chairs where the music stops and they take a chair out? Okay. Well, this is what happened. The interest rates became the music, and they hit the interest rates up to 7%, and all the chairs fell down and the people fell down and the whole game was over. Okay, that's what happened. For some of us, because we've been working on our scripts, we've been working on our dialogues, we've been working on our goals, we've been door knocking, we've been phone canvassing, we've been polishing up what we're supposed to do. Canny, constant and never ending improvement. Okay, constant and never ending improvement. Anthony Robbins, constant and never ending improvement. Baby steps consistently, not giant steps occasionally. When Robert was talking earlier, and he was talking about doing things and getting things done and where your business came from, a quote occurred to me. And that is, and I really want you to think about this, you are where you are because it's okay with you. In life, right now, you are where you are because it's okay with you. Because I'm here to tell you, if it wasn't okay with you, you'd say, damn it, I'm not doing that again. I'm getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to run. I'm going to do whatever it is I need to do for my health, for my family, for whatever. Okay, I'm not doing it again. You are where you are because it's okay with you. Most people throw pies at me right now, but thank you for not doing that, because they get mad at me. But I've been saying this for a long, long time. I say this to my own children. You know, if they're complaining, you are where you are because it's okay with you. Because I guarantee you, if it wasn't okay with you, you would do something about it. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because all of us, we're different people and we do different things. But for me, it's never been okay. It is not okay. Whatever it is not okay. Okay. What we're going to do, unless Robert, we have a little bit of time, you might want to go over the numbers analyzer, or we'll just come back at this time at 12:15 tomorrow. We're going to talk about 2 things specifically, and that is going to be doing 100 transactions in real estate or $1 million. I get that question every single year, 2, 3, 4 times. So we'll go through it tomorrow. And we'll also talk about what to do with that money. And basically it's how to get and stay rich in real estate. So we're going to talk more about that then. But Robert, did you want to do the numbers analyzer, or do you want to do that tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, I could certainly do that. Before we do that, any questions on anything we went over today in regards to the business plan or anything Neil talked about? So here's what I would suggest, and Alma posted something in the chat box about our role play. For those of you that don't join us role play in the morning, on this Zoom channel, we role play. We talked about practice that's in the business plan. If you're here Monday through Friday, 8 a.m., we guarantee you a role play partner. We share a script. We put you in a breakout room with 1 or 2 other agents to role play. We do that from 8 to 9, Monday through Friday. But here's what I would suggest. You know, Neil just talked about, you know, your why and all the valuable things there. Your business plan should be mandatory to fill out, to the point to where if you call me, because for those of you that don't know, myself, Neil, you know, because we've been part of this merger, we're here to help. You can call us. It could be today, could be tomorrow, could be in March, could be in December, and say, hey, I got a question. Can you help me out with this? I want to schedule some time. We could do that. If you call and you say, hey, I want to go over some things, and I say, great, send me your business plan, and you don't have it filled out, I don't know if I'll take the call, because you're not taking your business seriously enough to fill out a business plan. So spend some time to fill out the business plan. But I would write this down here too, and then we'll get to the numbers analyzer. This has to be something that excites you.
Hey,
Your
Robert,
business-
sorry to interrupt you. Could you share the business plan?
Yes, I will. It has to be something that excites you. Okay, your goals, your plan has to be something that excites you, and it has to be in front of you all the time. Anyone here ever completed a business plan in January and then look at it again until December? Yeah, a few of you. Okay, so a couple notes here as we wrap this up, and then I'll go to the numbers analyzer. Number one, your business plan needs to be in front of you all the time. I remember Ron Cronin talking about how he would print out his business plan every day and he'd keep it in his pocket. And all day long, he was taking it in and out of his pocket, looking at it, reminding himself, because he kept getting, we get told no all the time, right? Rejection, rejection, rejection. So we got to look at the business plan to excite us. And he would do it so often that by the end of the day, the paper was so worn that the next day he'd have to print out a new business plan. Okay, so one, keep the business plan in front of you. Don't complete this and then just put it in a drawer. Okay, it's got to be in front of you all the time. Number two, share it. I would definitely send it to us, whether we're working closely with you, whether we're just here to help out. Send your business plan. Send it to me. Send it to Neil. Send it to Patty. Send it to Keith. Send it to Randy. Send it to Matt, Terry, whoever. Send us your business plan as accountability purposes. Send it to your accountability partners, your mastermind group. John Maxwell quote says, goals that are not made public are useless. So send it to people, right? Share your excitement. Definitely send it, give it to your family. It's important. And you should probably talk about with your family about your business plan as well. Okay. And the third thing, going through the goals, it has to be something that really excites you, which means take a few moments and decipher what's really going to get me going. Okay. Because again, this is a profession where you're an independent contractor. Even if we fired you, the office next door would hire you. You're pretty much guaranteed a job unless you get your license taken away. Okay. So you don't have to show up at a certain time. You don't have to do certain activities. Your business plan should be something that excites you. Here's what I talk about all the time. How do you know if your business plan will excite you? How do you know if you have the right goals? Anyone here ever have a moment when the alarm clock goes off and you don't really want to get out of bed? That happened to anybody? Yeah, a few of you.
Yes.
Okay. Well, put your business plan next to your bed. And when the alarm clock goes off, look at your business plan, and you should look at your business plan, clap your hands and say, let's go. That's the type of excitement. But this is how you know you have the wrong goals. You write down a goal and you say, you know what I really want to do? I really want to take my family on a first-class trip to Italy. First class, paid in cash, no credit. We're going for a month, top to bottom, the wineries, the food, the whole thing, all of it, right? So you write it on your business plan. And then this week you're motivated, next week you're motivated. And then 2 weeks from now, the alarm clock goes off and you look at your business plan, you go, there's a great Italian restaurant right down the street. I'm sure the food there is very authentic. And then you hit the snooze. Means you have the wrong goal. So figure out what's going to excite you, what's going to get you going. Vitally important on this business plan and the goals that you set. Okay. Questions on anything we've gone over? Okay. All right. The last thing I want to go over real quick is the numbers analyzer. So everybody here should have received an email with the numbers analyzer. Okay. And if you didn't receive that, let me know and we'll get it resent to you, or send an email to admin@century21masters.com and somebody will send it to you. Okay. So this is what the numbers analyzer looks like. Now, I was doing an example of a test the other day, so you can kind of see what some of the numbers are. When it comes to coaching, training, this might be one of the most important tools that you can have, is the numbers analyzer. And what I want you to do on this, and I did a class on this last week, and Jesse can pull the recording and we can get that sent out to everybody. But I'm telling you, when you call me or Neil or Patty or anyone here and says, hey, I need some help. I'm not closing enough deals. And we say, let's look at your numbers analyzer. That can help us determine where the problem might be. So I'm going to just go through this really briefly. When you get your numbers analyzer, this green section here is your goals. Now, this is going to match what you put in your business plan: days worked, hours prospected, contacts, so on and so forth, right? So you got to fill this out first. When you're figuring out your days worked, how do I figure out my days worked? Easiest thing you can do is work backwards. So here's what I mean. There's 52 weeks a year. Subtract how many weeks you won't work. So let's say, for example, that you take 2 weeks vacation every year. Okay, that's 2 weeks. And then let's say every quarter you go to some sort of week-long seminar. We got the production retreat coming up in 2 weeks, the superstar retreats in July. Maybe you go to another Mike Ferry event. You go to Tony Robbins, you go to Grant Cardone, you go to Tom Ferry, you go wherever you want. Maybe you do that once a quarter. So that's 4 weeks. So you have 2 weeks vacation, 4 weeks you're at seminars, which is all great. And then let's say with all the holidays, you take another 2 weeks off for just holiday stuff. That's 10 weeks. And then have there ever been days where you've had a scheduled work day, but mentally you weren't there? Some of you are like, yeah, listening to you right now, Robert. Thank you. We'll talk about that another day. But let's say that's 1 day a month. So that's 12 days a year. It's another 2 weeks. So now you're talking about 10, 12 weeks out of the year that you're not working. So if you take 10 weeks off of 52, that's 42 weeks. And then how many days a week do you work? Let's say it's 5. So let's say it was 44 weeks at 5 days. That's how you get to 220 days worked. So work backwards if you've never done this before. And then the rest of this stuff, you kind of just multiply by however many days worked, hours prospected. Well, if I'm going to prospect 3 hours a day at 220 days, that's 660. Contacts. How many contacts do I make an hour? Is it 10? Is it 9? Is it 11? Is it 5? Let's say it was 8. This would be your contacts. Properties preview. Okay, you just go down the list. Ignore phone blitz and door knock blitz. We were supposed to delete those. That's my fault. You can put zeros for that. But go through this list and write out your goals. You go down here, listing appointments set. What's your goal for listing appointments set? Is it 1 a week? Is it 1 a month? Is it 1 a day? Let's say it was 1 a week. That's 44. How many will you go on? If you know your numbers from previous years, use the percentages. If you don't know your numbers from previous years, take 50%. So whatever you put for listing appointment set, take half, make that the listing appointments gone on. And then listings taken. If you know your closing ratio from previous years, 75, 80, 90, 40%, use that. But if you don't know it, take 50%. So therefore, you would set 44 appointments, you would go on 22, you would take 11. And then out of 11, how many would sell? If it's priced right, even in this type of a marketplace, you could sell all of them, but maybe you want to buffer that a little bit. Okay. Buyer appointments is how many buyer showings. How many times are you taking a buyer out to see property? Okay. So I want to take a buyer out once a week, twice a week, and then multiply that. How many buyer sales? Then you go to practice hours. Let's say it was an hour a day. You multiply that by how many days worked. And you just go down, open houses, and then closed transactions, which is 22. You're just adding your listing sold and your buyer sales. So that's 21. What's your average gross commission? Then you multiply that to find your gross closed income. Now, here's the thing. When you go through this exercise and you get down to 24, and you put down the gross closed income after you go through this, I want you to pause for a second. Because remember, you're the one who filled out these numbers. I say that because some of you are going to get here and go, man, I did all these numbers and it says my gross income is 500,000. That seems like a lot. You're the one who put in the numbers. So what did you write down that you think is not realistic? Well, I think it's all realistic. Okay, great. Then 500,000 was going to be the end result. Or some of you are going to go, well, gosh, I got down here and it was, 200,000. My goal was 500,000. Okay, great. Well, then let's go back up here and figure out what do we need to add? What do we need to change? Okay. So you got to fill this section out here. This is the key. And if you need help with that, please let us know. And then each week, just come in here and fill out what you accomplished for the week. How many days did you work? How many hours did you prospect? Contacts, properties preview, just go on down the list. It's easier if you do this daily. So every day, just go in here and add to the total, right? As opposed to trying to remember the whole week at once. So a couple notes. If you lie, doesn't help anybody. Okay. This is just a moment of truth. So if you made 10 contacts for the week, put 10. If you made 200, put 200. Okay. Doesn't help to lie. If you want to have a lot of fun, anyone here have kids that are maybe under 10? A couple of you? Yeah, Rochelle. Have your kids fill this out with you. It's a lot of fun. Right? So, okay, Dad. So how many days did you work? I worked 5. Okay, great. How many hours did you prospect? 4. You prospected 4 hours this week? Yeah. Okay. How many contacts did you make? 15. You left me for 40 hours this week and you only talked to 15 people? Yep, that's it. How many appointments did you set? 0. 0? The hell did you do all week? We could have been playing. You can see how fun this will get. If you want to have a lot of fun, do it with your spouse. Then we'll really get to going here. You're getting a job. All right. But fill it out each week. Now, here's the last thing I'll show you. This is the data input. This is where it gets really fun. Now, for some of you, seems overwhelming. Blind faith, just do it. After a couple months, you're going to start to see how this works out. The second tab down here is analysis. Click on analysis. This is where the coaching training really gets going, because right here, it's going to list out your goals. And then as you're filling in those numbers weekly, it's going to tell you where you're actually at year date. So how are you in terms of your goals, right? This is going to be the real painting of the picture when you're calling and you're wondering, why am I not closing enough transactions? We can go to this and say, well, your contacts per day goal was 24 and you're at 12. You know, I know it says 60 right there, but I'm just saying for an example. You're not making enough contacts. Or, gosh, I'm going on a lot of appointments, but I'm not closing them. And we go here, and let's say your listing appointment closing ratio is 20%. You're setting appointments, but you're only closing 20% of them. Now, if you're closing a low percentage of your listings, what's the first thing I'm going to talk about?
Pre-qualify.
Pre-qualifying. But see, this is where it starts to help, because if you come to me and I don't have a numbers analyzer, you say, Robert, I'm going on listing appointments, but I'm not closing them. I could just guess, well, how are you with the presentation? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? Like, I don't have anything to really go off of. But if I go in here and I see that you're closing 20%, I already know, number one, you're not pre-qualifying 100% of the people, 100% of the time with 100% of the questions. I know that. Because if you're only closing 20%, you're going on appointments with people that aren't fully motivated. And then what I would tell you is to say, do yourself a favor. Go back to all the listing appointments you went on and see if any of those people sold with anybody or listed with anybody. And you'll find, like, well, I went on 10 appointments and I 7 of them didn't sign with me, and 6 of those 7 didn't list with anybody. 6 of those 7 weren't really motivated sellers. That's why your ratio is so low. You were on appointments with people that weren't going to list with anybody. But this is where the numbers analyzer can start to really kick in. And then you can also look at, income per prospect and things like that. Watch, actually, let me show you a test one from 2022. So this will give you an example. This is from 2022. And if I go to the analysis here, I could see, look at, your income per hour prospected. They were at $307 an hour. So when you come to me and you say, I want to make more money, I say, great, let's look at your schedule. Well, I spend 2 hours on admin time. Okay. Well, your income per hour prospected is $307. I'm curious. So that means your admin should equal 2 hours. That's $614. Are you doing $614 worth of stuff? Well, no. Great. Then cut your admin down in half, do another hour of prospecting, you'll add $307 to your income every hour. You do that. $27 a contact. Hey, great. Could you make 5 more contacts a day? Yeah, I think I can make 5 more contacts a day, and you're making 11 contacts an hour. It's a half hour. Can we add a half hour data prospecting? Yeah, we could do that. Okay, great. Well, then if I did a half hour more a day, 27 contacts are $27 an hour times 5, it's $135 a day. And if I worked 220 days, right? 27 times 5 is 135 times 220, that's 30 grand. If you just prospect it in this particular case, I could look at the numbers analyzer and say, if we add an additional 30 minutes of prospecting to your schedule, we'll get an additional 30 grand in income by the end of the year. Is this kind of painting a little bit of a picture of where the value of this numbers analyzer comes into play? Yes, no? How many of you here are analytical? You want me to just keep talking about this? How many of you are drivers? You're considering beating yourself in the face right now. Like, God damn it, stop talking. If you're expressive, you stopped paying attention about 30 minutes ago. And if you're amiable, this looks overwhelming, but you're sticking around because you don't want to make me feel bad. I appreciate that. Questions on the numbers analyzer? Okay. So everyone, again, should have gotten an email with this. If you didn't get it, send an email to admin@century21masters.com. We'll resend it to you. But if we can leave you with anything today, and we're going to continue this tomorrow, fill out a business plan and fill out your numbers analyzer, and you will get the most out of 2023, not only for yourself, but how we can help you the most is if you get those two things figured out and you complete them, we can just hit unbelievable numbers in 2023, no matter what's going on in the market. All right. Any last questions, comments, concerns before
Hi,
we
good
wrap up for
afternoon,
today?
Robert.
Yes.
Hi, it's Susan Calderon. How are you?
I'm living fantastic, Susan. What's going on?
Good. Hey, quick question. How do I get that business plan, please?
It's been Alma posted it in the chat box a few minutes ago, but we can also email it over to you.
Oh, that would be great if you don't mind. I didn't see it. I'm
Hey,
sorry.
no problem. We can do it.
Hey, Robert, Alex Morales here.
Yes, Alex.
Hey, that was actually going to be my question as well, but I just wanted to say that this is the first time that I see the numbers analyzer. I'm new here with you guys, and it totally makes sense. I love it. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, cool. I've got one. All right, good stuff. All right, any last questions, comments, concerns as we wrap up here for the day? Okay. How do I get the numbers analyzer? Ignacio, send your email in the chat box, and we'll make sure you get your analyzer. All right, good stuff. All right, everybody, that's all we got for today. Remember, tomorrow we're back at it. We're going to do this. Tomorrow is one of our more popular classes. It's how to build to 100 deals a year in real estate, and then how to build wealth through real estate through investing. Okay. So we talk about that. Neil's got a whole program for that. So we're going to talk about that. And then we're going to talk about time management and scheduling next week as well. So all kinds of stuff. I know some of this is overwhelming and it's a lot. We're here. Reach out to me, call me, email me, text me. Okay. Reach out to Neil, reach out to Matt, Keith, Patty, right? We're here to help. Our whole job is to help you accomplish your goals this year.
All right,
Thank
great
you.
job, Robert.
Do it.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job, good job, good job.